guys, it's Beck, or Beck the Noir, on Instagram. So today I styled a Mary wig from that one gambling anime that I still can't pronounce even after I watched a full season of it. I ordered this wig off of Amazon as a Mary wig. It, I think, ended up looking pretty good. I don't have the full cosplay. I did order it and then it ended up being too small for me. So that's fun. But I do have a button-up shirt and this fits, so this is what I got at the cosplay. But here's my time-lapse and tutorial that I did for you all. Alright, hope you have a good day.
Alright guys, so I thought I would start with me actually taking the wig out of the bag so you can see what it looks like. And show you guys kind of how I attach my wigs to my wig head. I take the pieces that tighten the wig to the back of your head and just stick it underneath because I don't like pins in my wigs. So I don't normally pin it down. They can tend to slip a little bit, but it works out pretty good. And then I go through and I just brush it out and start all my teasing. And then with the bangs, I tease back quite a bit, hairspray both sides, and then heat it up with a flat iron. You can also use a hair dryer for this, but I only have a flat iron. But I just go around and do this to the whole head basically, but because I wanted the bangs to be super fluffy, I teased it way harder than what I did with, let's say, like the back of the wig. When I bought this wig, I was expecting the back to be a little bit on the longer side, so I was planning on taking it and trying a new method out for pigtails and stuff that I saw. But all the wefts ended up being super short, so that didn't end up working out very well. But yeah, just teasing, flat ironing, teasing, and then I start working on the longer pieces. I separate all the long pieces from the shorter back pieces, just because I like to kind of keep sections going. So if I have a specific section like that, is definitively longer than the rest, I try to keep it on its own little area, like how I keep the bangs separate from the back of the wig. Do the same to this side. And then you saw in that one that my initial tease didn't really get a whole lot in there, so I went over it again after I did my first tease and just kind of redid the strand to make it a little bit more of a tighter tease. And then hairspray both sides and flat iron it. And then the important thing to remember is when you are doing this step of the wig, you do not want to use a glue-based hairspray like Got To Be. Got To Be is a glue-based. That's why it holds so strong. So I personally use Helmet Head, I believe it's called, hairspray. And then I just use a regular comb for back combing, teasing, whatever you want to call it. And then my mom gave me this flat iron because it didn't work for her. So you don't need a lot to get started with wigs. I do use Got To Be when it comes to the actual styling of the wig because it does hold really, really well, and it does, as long as you don't use a whole lot, it doesn't make your wig super, super crunchy, because nobody likes a crunchy wig, a crunchy, shiny wig. The wig starts out pretty shiny too, but with the teasing and the working it tends to get rid of a little bit of that shine, so that's why I'm never super stressed out about wigs when I open them out of the package and they're super shiny, because a lot of times there's stuff to do to fix it. So as long as you don't hairspray it too much, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. And I'm just about done. The back part was kind of taking a while just because they were really short pieces. And I didn't want to take too big of sections, because when you take too big of sections, then you tend to miss a lot of hair in your tease, and you have to go over it and re-tease it, re-hairspray, and re-flat iron it all. And I never like doing that. So you have to find like a happy medium of not too small of pieces and not too large. And you can just see here how short these pieces were. They were kind of difficult to work with just because they were so short. So it took me a minute to get through all of them. And then I apologize for my face through this whole video because I had my wig stand higher than I normally do when I work. I don't know why I did this. I just felt like doing it. sometimes it's good to try something new. And then you see right here I did 3 teasing sections at once just because I was getting really tired and I hairsprayed them all at once. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but because it was the very back of the neck, I wasn't super worried about how that would end up looking. And then I take a regular brush and I start with the longer side pieces. Ideally, I should have started with the bangs because that's where I first started to do the hairspray and teasing and whatever, because you want it to be as dry as possible when you go through to brush it all out. But I wanted to get these long pieces detangled to see how they look, to see if I needed to do them again. Thankfully, spoiler alert, I didn't have to do them again. I really liked the look of how they ended up after that. And then when you brush out, remember to always start at the bottom, make your way up, and it's gentle brushing. You don't ever want to sit there and rip at your wig, because that's how you lose a ton of hair. And yes, this method does add volume to your wig, but it doesn't really help when you rip out literally all of your fibers. So yeah, I thought that looked super cute, and then I got started with my bangs. I just wanted to make sure that the side pieces were teased enough before going on to where I was supposed to actually start. But you'll see with all of these, I start at the very ends, get those all brushed out like really nicely, and then I go to the base and really brush it out. And sometimes I use my fingers and pull the actual tease apart because I tend to tease it a little bit too tight on the bangs sometimes, to where it's like almost impossible to brush out. If you take your fingers and just pull those fibers apart with your fingers, it kind of helps to break that tease up a little bit more for you to brush it out entirely. But look at that. So you could see kind of with the pieces that are still teased up how shiny that they are until I brush them out. That shine is completely gone. So I don't have to deal with powders. I don't have to deal with leaving it in softener for multiple weeks, or fabric softener for multiple weeks. I don't have to deal with any of that. Just a little bit of teasing, a little bit of brushing, a little bit of hairspray. A lot of people don't like Epic Cosplay wigs because they do come out shiny, or they do get sent out a little bit shiny, I guess you could say. But they just need a little bit of work, and then they end up looking really nice. My favorite wigs are all Epic Cosplay wigs. I have never used Arda because I think that they're very expensive, more so than Epic Cosplay, so I tend to not steer towards them. And the way to style the Epic Cosplay wigs versus Arda wigs is a little bit different because their fibers are different, and I just prefer this sort of method of styling. So I tend to prefer Epic Cosplay for that reason. Of course, Amazon wigs are fantastic. Like I said in the beginning, this is an Amazon wig, and I think this ends up looking just as good as any sort of Epic Cosplay or Arda wig. But I wanted to get her little floops at the very bottom. I think that they're absolutely adorable. So I sit there, I hairspray, I heat up the area, and then I try to heat it up in the direction that I want the floofs to go into. So here I'm using my glue-based hairspray, the Got2b, and I'm hairspraying, I'm holding it up with my fingers till it kind of dries and cools down a little bit. And then I keep on just adding heat and curling as needed until I get the shape that I like. And like I said, it's just a little bit of hairspray at the base to make it kind of shape the way that I want and not move a whole lot, but you're not making it super crunchy. And then I'm taking the heat, applying the heat and kind of curling it up, because I'm not very good at using a curling iron, and shaping it with my fingers and holding it till it cools. So, same deal on the other side. It didn't work as well on the second side, but I tried to make them as even as possible. And I didn't like how it ended up, so I just took it and I brushed it out and I started over. And there is no shame in that. If you ever don't like how it is going, you just take it, brush it out, and start over. So I add less heat this time and respray, and I figure that's close enough. Because there's no way I'm getting those symmetrical. And then I start working on the bangs, because I feel like that is one of the more defining features of Mary. I absolutely love her character so much. So I have a reference picture, of course, in the background. I'm pretty sure I have it pulled up at this point. And that's why I keep on looking backwards at my screen, is because I need to see what her bangs look like. Reference pictures are absolutely everything. The more reference pictures you have, the more accurate your wig can be. And then I just start going in, and I start with, normally when I do bangs, I start with the very middle bang and kind of shape the rest of them off of that. So I start with her one big floop in the middle of her bangs. I'm super technical with my terms. And I'm just cutting it to shape because it was super, super long wig hair. This is the only part I wasn't super happy with. I think I cut the bottom a little bit too short and left the top a little bit too long, so it ended up looking just slightly funky, but not enough to ruin the wig for me by any means. I just know better for next time when if or when I ever style this wig again. So I wouldn't exactly follow what I'm doing for this middle bang here. I would definitely shorten up that bang, the bang fibers in the front like that, and use the heat to kind of direct it like as I'm doing here. I just wouldn't go as short with the hair as I did, so don't completely shape it by cutting it like what I did here. Sometimes trying something new doesn't exactly work out. But like I said, it's not enough to ruin the wig for me. Still absolutely adore it. So I got that middle part shaped, and I start going to the bang, that bang piece of hair that lays right on top and over. That one was really easy. I didn't really even cut it. I might have cut it a little bit just to shape the tip. I probably shouldn't have styled that one next though, because I keep on hitting it with my hand, as you see, when I'm working on the rest of the bangs. When you work with wigs, you should ideally work in layers and do the same layer at a time. I was just really excited to get that piece of hair done. So work on the bottom first and then go up, because if you work from the top to the bottom, then you tend to ruin the stuff that you already did at the top when you're working on the bottom. So just try to layer your wigs like that if you have a lot of layers going on in the bangs and whatnot. And then I tried to show as much as I can here. Just doing the other side of the bangs, keeping that extra little hair behind for her little, she has so many foops in her hair, that little foop that goes above the longer foops that hang down. So make sure you kind of have to section out or plan your sectioning before you get started with the cutting and the styling too a little bit. I'm not a super planner, so it's not like I sit there and meticulously plan where each fiber's going to go or anything like that. Kind of more so play it by ear, because that's just what I do. But ideally you should plan out your sections a little bit, at least a little bit, to kind of figure out where each thing is going. But right here I'm just shaping the tips of the spikes at the end of the bangs. I'm cleaning them up a bit. Normally I clean up at the end, but I totally didn't this time. I just more so cleaned up as I went, just because that was in the mood I was in. I was kind of doing things out of order this night that I was filming, and that's okay. You can do it however you'd like to. So Mary has those little pieces that go in front of her ears. So I didn't even bother cutting those because they were meant to be long. And I just took it and curled it with my fingers. And because of the teasing, it ended up staying just how I wanted it. And then with this, I did a little bit of hairspray on each side, not enough to make it super crunchy. Taking my heat, and I am just heating and curling just like I did at those bottoms. The bottom pieces. So that way, like I said, that little foop there is still going where I wanted it to. But I did notice that I missed a piece of hair, and I just kind of... Oh, I lied. I didn't miss a piece. It was just actually a piece that's supposed to be part of the wig because I'm an idiot and I can't remember things. But yeah, so like I said, you have to plan out your sectioning a little bit so that way you can make sure to have that little extra foop at the bottom instead of just making it one giant foop. I'm so descriptive tonight. And then same thing with the side. I did that little piece that goes in front of her ear, just with my fingers, no heat, because it's just not really needed with the teasing and stuff already. And you just take it and you try to do things symmetrically, and that doesn't always work out because we are human and we make mistakes. And then I just take it and heat. And as you can see with my flat iron, I'm barely touching the wig. I'm like just touching it for a second and letting it go. I'm not sitting there and like burning my wig by any means, because you can burn a wig. So when I mean like apply heat, I just mean make it like kind of warm to hot to the touch, but I wouldn't sit there and hold it to any piece at all, or else you're going to burn the fibers, destroy them, and make them not usable at that point. I think I hit that point with one wig, and I learned my lesson after that. When it starts steaming, that's a little bit too much. My wig does make little crackling noises, though, when I touch it to the heat, so that I find completely normal. That's just the hairspray and the heat of my hot iron interacting. So that's not such a huge, scary deal as actually burning the fibers. So here, I kind of didn't quite know what to do with the back because it wasn't really what I wanted to do with it. So I just brushed it out really good. I laid it really nice and slick along the back. Made sure all of my teasing and tangles were out. I tried to plan on where those little ponytails are going to go, because I didn't have the stuff to attach the ponytails how I wanted to do it either. So I did it how I did my Miku wig, which is make little tiny pigtails on either side of the wig, right where I wanted those ponytails to go, or those pigtails to go. And then the clip clips right to them, and ideally that is how it'll stay on your wig. That's a quick and easy way. I know some people use like foam balls, and that looks really, really good, and I wish I could do that. I just haven't. I've never done it before, and I didn't have the foam balls or anything to do it now. Just cleaning up the spike. She's not entirely symmetrical, but that's okay. And then I think she looks really good how she is currently. I'm just brushing out those pigtails, and I was debating on doing anything to them, but because I teased and styled that wig, and there's me just laying the back flat because I didn't know what to do with it at that point. And then don't forget underneath the pigtails. But because I teased and styled the actual base of the wig, it had a different texture, and it wasn't shiny or anything like that to the rest of the wig. So I just did gentle little teases on the side. You don't need to do a whole lot just to get the base shine out. Gentle little teases. I did one big hairspray on one pigtail, and then just applied heat randomly. This doesn't have to be precise by any means, because I'm not looking for volume here. I already liked how the pigtails looked. I was just kind of trying to make them match the wig a little bit more. Even just plain straight wigs that you're not going to do much styling to could definitely use with this technique, because you're going to get a little less tangling. You're going to be able to style the bottom how you want it. If, like, say this character's hairstyle swoops to one side or whatever, you get to swoop it really cool, and it'll keep its shape. It won't tangle as much even on those long, really tangly wigs, and it gets rid of that shine, like I said earlier. So as you can see, that pigtail matches the actual wig a little bit more now. And of course, the more that you tease, the more that you style, the different textures you can have. Like, as you can see, the little front floops that hang down, those have a little bit different texture because I teased and styled them more, or I teased them more than some of the other, like, the pigtails of the wig. Here's me trying to get that curl back. So because I used a flat iron to add heat, it took the little bottom curls out. So I grabbed my curling iron. I, of course, didn't wait for it to heat up properly. I don't know how to use it very well, but I had to buy it for one of the other wigs I wanted to work on. So I started to kind of figure it out as I went, to try to add that little curl back into the pigtails. It kind of worked. I kept on touching it to see if it was hot. That was a bad idea. And it didn't really work. So I just keep on going over the pieces a million times. And this is really a good way to show that I don't always know what I'm doing. I kind of play things by ear a lot, and I learn as I go. And the best way to learn, I feel, is experience. So don't be afraid to go make mistakes on wigs or sewing or whatever project you're going to be doing, because mistakes are going to happen. That's how you learn. So as I'm sitting here playing with my curling iron trying to figure out how it works, I think I just end up eventually giving up on it because I just feel like it looks good enough. I'm happy with it how it is. It has enough curl for me, because her pigtails aren't actually really curly. From the picture that I saw, they just had a little bit of a foop at the bottom, another foop. So I was trying to add that back. I had no idea how to do it, so I kind of took a look at that side and said, you know what, it looks great. And then I started curling it the wrong way, and then I tried to continue fixing this side, because I thought I figured it out. I really hadn't. I really hadn't figured it out. But yeah, here is the final wig. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks.